Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Roots and Arrows Farm. My name is Tori. If you're new here, thank you for being here. And if you're not new here, thanks for sticking around. I'm so glad you guys are here. This morning I'm walking out around the garden and I'm heading out to show you the progress on the chicken coop. My dad has been working for the last couple of days and it's looking great. So let's see it.
This is all spare lumber so far.
That's awesome. Hey y'all, so I went inside and I thought I was gonna eat some breakfast, but I decided to come outside with some clippers because I need to clip off a couple of things. The beans, the okra, and I'm going to clip some green tomatoes off of my Cherokee purple plant because they're getting really big. They're not ripe yet, but I want to try fried green tomatoes. I've never made them from scratch. I don't know if I've ever eaten them. I'm sure I did growing up. My grandpa probably made them. But as an adult, I don't remember ever having them. So I'm going to clip some big green tomatoes. My plan is to make some fried green tomatoes tonight. And yeah, so let's clip some of these veggies. How did I miss this? So I'm not sure if this is gonna work, but I found one of my cantaloupe plants laying on the ground, like the whole 2 feet of the bottom of it basically not attached to the trellis. And I'm not sure how I missed that, but I did. And this is one of our watermelon plants, and I've connected it here. It finally got tall enough. I think this one might be finally, just might hang on. Maybe. Hang on, little guy. I do think that if I do another season with these trellises, I'll lower them to the ground a little bit to help the plants earlier in life. And then that will be better, I think. Hey guys, welcome back to Roots and Arrows Farm. My name is Tori, and if you're new here, thank you for being here. If you're not new here, thanks for sticking around. I am trying very hard to make this Monday, Wednesday, Friday new schedule work. And actually today's video was supposed to be the one of me going and making fried green tomatoes with my grandma. However, in the editing process, because I was editing that video this morning, it is Tuesday morning right now, and so I started editing that video, but it just so happened that I found the footage of the morning and a little bit of after, but there was about 19 minutes of us actually doing the cooking, and it is not wanting to go from my memory card onto my laptop so that I can edit that into the video. So that, I feel like, is God just telling me that I need to make fried green tomatoes again. So unfortunately that's not going to be in this video, but that will be in an upcoming video. And I would really like to walk you guys through the process a little bit more. But being able to cook the fried green tomatoes with my grandma, that was an experience of itself that I am grateful I even got. So I figured that this morning, and I do say morning, it's like 9:45, but that sun is right there. But I figured since I wasn't gonna get that video out to you this morning, we'd just walk around the garden a little bit and do a little bit of a vlog style. Look at these banana peppers. Oh, they're getting big. Oh, that's exciting. It's exciting. It's exciting to me. You want to know something else that's exciting? My basil's coming back to life. Y'all remember how it got eaten on? It looks like something is still munching on it though. Something is definitely still attacking it. I'm thinking I'm gonna take this cage and put it up, like up higher, like this. I don't know, we'll see. I'm not gonna do that right now because like I said, that sun, as you can see, is just, it's right on us. It's not super hot because it is still, it's about 10 o'clock in the morning, but it's getting there. Anyway, I wanted to walk out here and show you guys, oh wow, the chicken coop. So, I think that's what this video is going to be, a little bit of catching you up on our chicken coop endeavor. And I say our, but it is wholeheartedly my dad. My dad has done this amazing job. I mean, I can't even. Okay, I want to get it all, as much of it as I can. Okay, so this is, wow, this is my first chicken coop and it is almost done. Y'all, I can wash dishes at my parents' house and look out the window and see this coop. I'm just saying. I'm in it, by the way. It's a lot cooler under here, actually. So I'm standing in the chicken coop right now and it is a lot cooler under here than it is out there. And so that is one thing that I wanted to make sure of. When that sun is fully hitting this coop, the chickens will have plenty of shade. And so about 80% of the day, I think, give or take, the coop is in shade anyway because there are trees and things around. But the sun, the way it comes up, it will hit here from about 9:30. From 9:30 to maybe 11, it'll be like directly either coming in this way and then kind of going like this, and then it's shaded by trees. So, anyway. This is my first chicken coop, y'all. I've wanted chickens for such a long time. And when we were living in Cyprus, I couldn't have them. When we were in England, I couldn't really have them. Plus I had 4 kids under 4 years old and it was just too much. But being here, having the extra adults around has really helped. Both my parents, my sister, her boyfriend, it's just, it makes it a lot more manageable. I can get out here sometimes in the morning, I can get out here in the evening. Sometimes I do it with my older 2 kids. My younger 2 kids really aren't fully keen on it. I mean, they love being in the garden, but they love destroying the garden. So there's there's a learning curve we have yet to hit there. But my point is, just having the ability to even do any of this is something that I've wanted for a very long time. So if you're thinking about getting chickens, or if you're thinking about starting a garden, just do it. Start small, put a seed in the ground, you know, get a couple of grow bags. That's how I started. If you look back at older videos on here, you'll see when we lived in England, I went a little overboard, but I grew a garden. I mean, I had a full massive garden in our backyard, entirely out of grow bags. And I think I had like 1 raised bed maybe, but that was not really intended. My parents came and visited and my dad actually put that together for me while he was there. So yeah, you can totally do it in grow bag. Anyway, you can get them off of Amazon. I'm sure like Walmart or Lowe's would have them. Home Depot probably has them, places like that. Tractor Supply probably has them. I do remember when I lived in England, all of the grow bags, all of the everything that I used in England, everything you see in the former videos, things like that, pretty much all of that came off of Amazon. Because with 4 young kids, I really didn't get out much. I didn't go anywhere. I bought soil off of Amazon. I mean, you name it. And I want to tell you that you can do it. If you have a desire in your heart to start a small garden or to eventually have chickens one day, see what the rules are, because you know, if you have a small backyard, the friend I had in London, she lived in London, like she had not a huge backyard, And what they did is they set up a small coop on one side, and they had a run that went around the back of the garden. And the run was maybe 3 feet wide, but it was really long. And yeah, and she had chickens back there. And I mean, you never know what's possible until you try. And when I had 4 kids under 5, I had 4 under 4 for a little while, but when I had 4 kids that were so little, I started a garden. I started a garden, and I cannot tell you how happy it made me. Like when I would wake up in the morning, because I started everything inside in like February. I think the first thing I ever planted was actually on my birthday in 2023, I think, February 25th, 2023. I planted my first thing, and I had a greenhouse set up inside of our house, and I grew plants, little tiny pots of plants, and it was so green and it was so beautiful. And we were in the dead of winter, and my heart was just filled with joy. I don't like bugs near my face. I don't like bugs near my face. Anyway, my heart was so filled with joy. So I wanted to take a minute, because when that video got messed up from, you know, making the fried green tomatoes, I was like, okay, so what am I gonna do now? And I had the thought in my head of just go see the chicken coop and talk about how long I've wanted to do the chickens, how long I wanted to garden, what I did in the meantime. And so since that was on my heart, I just thought, what better place? I mean, what better place to come and talk about dreams coming true than literally standing in a dream come true. And I am so grateful to my dad for making this happen. Most of this entire thing, like the materials and stuff, are things that we already had on the property. So I'm pretty sure, I'd have to check with him, but I'm pretty sure that the only thing we had to buy is the roofing, the tin roofing. And even that, we had some, but it wasn't in great shape. And so I think that's why he decided to go ahead and buy some. But yeah, so this whole thing is from stuff we already had, basically. And that doesn't negate the fact that he has come out here and spent nearly 3 or 4 days at least, morning, taking off during the hottest part of the day, and then coming back at night, working out here and putting it all together and designing it and measuring everything the way it needs to be. And maybe one day I'll be able to build something like this with him and really get that hands-on experience. But with taking care of my 4 kids, being inside a lot, having to, you know, be with it. If they were in school, maybe it'd be different. But because of the way that our life is right now, if I didn't have my dad doing this, it would not have happened. I maybe could have bought a small coop, but even then I didn't have that kind of money. I still don't really have that kind of money. So, I mean, this is just, I feel like I say this a lot, but it's something that I never thought would happen, and it's happening. Anyway, I digress. I just wanted to come on here and say that if you have a dream, if you have something that you are hoping for or longing for, do the next thing. Like, just do the next thing. What is your next thing? Because while I was in England, I started my garden from grow bags, which if you do that, I recommend doing like 1 or maybe 2 plants of each thing, because I started with like 20 tomato plants and maybe 10 different kind of squash plants, several cucumber plants, if I remember correctly, and pumpkins. And I got very excited and very overwhelmed, over my head. I couldn't give away the tomato plants, let alone sell them. I couldn't give them to people. Like, I mean, unfortunately we had to throw away a lot of the tomato plants just because they died. I didn't have anywhere to put them. I didn't have anywhere to up-pot them. So before you start planting seeds, because most of your seeds will grow, let me tell you that. I planted so many things thinking, oh, well, 1 of them might not make it, so I'm gonna plant 4. Just bank on, especially if you're buying new seeds, most of your seeds are going to grow. Have somewhere to put them, or have someone to give them to. For example, if you plant 4, be like to your friends or whatever, be like, okay, if all 4 of these grow, I only have room for 2, who wants the other 2? Yeah, do something like that. Have a plan, because I did not have a plan, and it did not end well. So yeah, so have a plan, start a small garden, start an herb garden. A lot of herbs you can just grow on a windowsill. That's what I did. I had basil, thyme, oregano, I think. The main ones that we used, I put them in almost everything. I had them in little pots on my windowsill by my desk, and they grew beautifully. You could do that. And a big thing also that I want to stress is learning to cook. Now, this can be a touchy subject, but while I lived in Cyprus and while I lived in England, one of my main things was learning to cook. I kind of in a way was forced to, because a lot of the things in Cyprus, you go to the grocery store and there's not many like frozen meals or things like that. Everything is always, pretty much always fresh. You go to fresh farmers markets, they have a huge market every week that we would go to, and you're buying ingredients, and I had to learn what to do with those ingredients. And I thank God for that time, because if I had not had that time in Cyprus, I probably wouldn't really know half the things that I know about the kitchen right now. How to use herbs, how to use citrus in many different ways, how to like cook a bird, whole bird. The first time I ever cooked an entire chicken, I think, was in Cyprus. The first time I ever spatchcocked a chicken was my very first YouTube video, and we were in England. When we were in England last year, I learned how to cook tamales and enchiladas from scratch. And in Cyprus, I learned how to make tortillas from scratch, things that I love to eat, things that we really enjoy as a family. And I learned how to bake. I love baking. It's part of my business now. Roots and Arrows Farm, I just had my first market this past Saturday, which is the next video you'll see on Friday. At my market, I made gluten-free, what was it? I made gluten-free blueberry cinnamon muffins. They all sold out. In fact, someone bought 2 and they left, and about an hour and a half later they came back and they're like, well, how many more can I buy? And I was like, I have about 4 left, and they said, I'll take them. And so that one person loved my muffins enough that instead of like going out to lunch or going home or whatever, they came back and bought the rest of my muffins. And I think that's pretty cool. And so that happened. And then I made chocolate chip cookies, and those completely sold out. And I had taken plants, because Roots and Arrows Farm, I want it to include all of the things, right? So that's sort of the idea I have in mind. So half of my table was tomato starts, because, you know, I planted too many. When am I gonna learn? I don't know. But yeah, I planted too many tomatoes, and so I'm trying to sell them. Maybe that was in the back of my head when I planted so many, was that I could possibly sell them. I don't know. But so I sold about half the tomato plants that I took, but I sold all of the baked goods. And people were asking me if I had other varieties that I know how to make, if I wanted to bring a different type of muffin or breads, or maybe 2 types of cookies. Like, they were throwing all of these things at me, and they were like, your baked goods are amazing. And they wouldn't be amazing if I hadn't learned how to make them. And I'm someone who can be like, oh, okay, I'll add a dash of vanilla. Or, okay, I'm using unsalted butter, so I'll put a little bit extra salt in with the batter. Or, you know, like, there's little things that I've picked up on that I didn't know before. I was very much a measuring by weight person. I would take an hour to make a recipe because I was measuring out every single ingredient to make sure it was exactly the same every time. And I also wouldn't know to work with measurements if I hadn't lived in Cyprus. I mean, I'm sure I probably could have figured it out. Other people have talked about it. But because I was in Cyprus, that's just the way it was done. And so anytime I would look up, like, anytime I would get a recipe from a neighbor, or anytime I would look on the back of a box, for example, or, you know, a lot of times if you buy something that comes in a box, like, I'm trying to think, like if you buy a jar of tomato sauce, for example, on the back of that, it will tell you how to make a spaghetti sauce and what to put in it, and it will have the ingredients in measurements. Like 10 grams of oregano, or 5 grams of salt, or like, you know, whatever. And so I spent so much time learning conversions, grams to tablespoons, cups to ounces, things like that. And if I hadn't had that 4 years in the back of my head, you know, arsenal, I wouldn't know half the stuff that I do now. It wouldn't come as easily to just add a dash of vanilla, or to add a little extra salt, or to, you know, as I like to say now, measure with your heart, because I tried measuring with my heart before I knew what I was doing, and it did not go well several times. it just didn't. And so now I very much enjoy measuring things out and getting it right every time. Often I do have flukes. They happen to everybody, but that's not going to stop me. If anything, that's another learning opportunity for me. Is, okay, so what did I do with this recipe that I haven't done before, and could that be why this one didn't work out exactly the same way? You know, I feel like it's a lot easier to pinpoint where you maybe went wrong if you know what you're supposed to do in the beginning.
Hey guys, editing Tori here. It is pretty late at night, but I wanted to get this video up for you. We're about 2/3 of the way into this video right now, but I did want to pop on here real quick and say that as far as the measurements go, I was referring more to baking. I really enjoy baking, and that is something that I have kind of always taken seriously since I started getting really interested in it. And so that's where the measurements come in. That's where I've really worked with learning conversions and things like that. Now, when it comes to cooking, I'm pretty much the total opposite. When it comes to cooking things like chicken dinners or you know, different kinds of vegetables, or there's one with eggplant that I want to try pretty soon. I think it's called baba ganoush. I think I'm saying that right, but there's a lot of things, a lot of variety, a lot of fly by the seat of your pants, a lot of build meals around what comes out of the garden. There's a lot of that goes into my cooking. And so I did just want to say that if you're learning to cook, be adventurous and try things that maybe you haven't tried before, because you never know what you're going to like until you try it. And so, yeah, so I just wanted to say that real quick, that my enjoyment of measuring things and making sure that they turn out well ties in more to the bakery side of my brain, whereas the cooking ties more into the creative side of my brain. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that. Okay, back to the video.
Anyway, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I talk too much. Turn your waiting room into your classroom. It's something that I've heard for many years now, and something that I really took to heart when I was living in Cyprus in England. My waiting room lasted longer than I realized, and I entered into my waiting room honestly without really understanding what I was doing. My waiting room lasted longer than I realized, but the more that I think about it now, I've been in my waiting room probably since about 2016 or 2017. I think that was when it really was put into my heart that, hey, I want to do homesteading. I want to eventually have a farm, a profitable farm at that. I want to ideally homeschool my kids one day. And things like this, it really got into my heart, into my head, and it just grew and grew. And honestly, the more that I dug into the Bible, the more that I read on the topic of, you know, stewarding the earth and raising your children and shielding them as much as you can from the world, because that is important. The more that I read God's word and the more that I prayed about it, the more that it felt like this is where I'm supposed to be and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I can't shake that feeling. And so, yeah, if you can't shake something, then there's a good chance that that something is what you're meant to be doing, what you're supposed to be doing. It's either a passion of yours, or, you know, it could very well be God nudging you in a certain direction. And I urge you to listen to it. And if it doesn't work out, then you're no worse off than you were before. You know, if your plant dies, figure out why. Was it your soil? Did you not water it enough? Did it get too much sun? Did it not get enough sun? You know, if you're really worried about it, plant 2 of the same thing and do different things to each one. Like maybe leave one in the sun a little bit longer and one in the shade a little bit longer. Water one in the morning and one in the evening. Like, there are ways that you can kind of navigate your learning curve and your learning process. And I just urge you to just get started, because if you don't get started, in 6 months from now, you'll be right where you are right now. But if you do get started, in 6 months, you could be harvesting food, or you could be tending a full, you know, a full garden, or you could be cooking Christmas dinner. What is 6 months from now? July? Are we in July yet? No, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You could be hosting Christmas dinner and cooking the whole thing yourself. That's what you could be doing in 6 months. If you learn to cook now, start working on your recipes, you could make the Christmas dinner dessert. You could host Thanksgiving. You could, I mean, fill in the blank, Friendsgiving, whatever you want. You could be doing that, or maybe not hosting, but you could be bringing something that you made from home, that you made from scratch, that you are excited to share. And I mean, there's no better feeling than, for me, there's no better feeling than making something that I know somebody else is going to enjoy. I love to cook, I love to bake, but it makes it a whole lot more exciting when I know that I'm doing it for someone else, that they are going to get something out of what I'm doing. Anyway, that's all I had to say, I guess. Well, I guess that's pretty much all I have for you today. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today and all the days you do. I bless you. Till next time.